did. I did. Okay. Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Today is Tuesday, November 15th. We've got a bonus episode for everyone. We're sitting down live with Jared Duske and Pat Tschida of the Watertown Red Devils Class C baseball team. Hello.
Hello, boys.
Hey, how you doing? Jared's the coach. Jared's the manager. Pat Tschida plays center field and pitches. And Andy and I are we do a lot of following, a lot of coverage here of Crow River baseball, all things Crow River. What we're going to do on tonight's show is do a 2022 season in review, kind of recap the season. Now, we'll tell the listeners as a heads up, 2021 Watertown went to the state, advanced to the final, and that game in Waconia, one of the best games from a personal perspective that I've ever witnessed is that 3-0 loss to the Sobieski Skis. That was this group here. This was the Watertown. The Skis beat them in one of the, many say, the best game they've ever seen. 1,500 people there at the state tournament final. Very hard in Class C baseball to reach the Elite Eight, the Final Four. But if you can reach and put together a team that reaches the final is huge. Now, this season, Watertown advances, makes it to the state, and gets to the semifinals. Loses out, but reaches the Final Four. So I just want to bounce the first question off yourself, Jared. You know, what's it like to reach the Class C semifinals back-to-back years? Very rare thing to do.
Yeah, it's awesome with a group of guys. I think it was a goal from the very beginning, though. We got a taste the year before. So our goal was, we had one common goal in mind, and that was to win the whole thing. So to do that, you gotta go stage by stage. The guys did a really good job, though, of taking one game at a time throughout the whole season, though. Even if we had a little hiccup or two throughout the season, they really pushed through the grind of summer. When you're playing some of those non-competitive games, even, they knew we got to take these games seriously because, later on it's going to really count. So we need to be on our A game almost all the time because teams are gunning for us and teams want to play us tough.
Yeah, and anything to follow up on that, Patrick?
Yeah, I think I like looking at it a little bit differently. He kind of touched on it a little bit, but through any sports season, you have to navigate, you have to navigate relationships. You have to navigate people's logistics, weddings, family events. There's even sometimes some parent issues. You didn't think you'd ever get that in amateur baseball, but sometimes you get that. And he just kind of alluded to that by saying, you got to kind of take it week by week. I think it takes leadership, and thankfully we have some older guys with some really good leadership skills and tangibles. And then we have young guys who are willing to put the team first. And you really need that. It's a lot of roles and responsibilities. It's kind of like, you guys have seen it with the Astros. Carlos Correa takes off and they piece in another shortstop, and he understands what their mission statement is and what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I mean, it was an unbelievable run again, and it's super exciting, and it's something that, you'll cherish forever and stories you'll have forever, but it's tough. I mean, it's tough. 2 years ago, we lost to New Germany. New Germany is an up-and-coming team, so I'm not trying to talk anything, I guess, lower about them, but you're going to face some trials and tribulations, and it just kind of takes a group of guys who really enjoy each other to find a solution to get through it. So I'm sure you guys have some trials and tribulations on this podcast with each other at times. But
there was the one time that we
right.
And with baseball, so important in the dugout too, in the clubhouse, is that chemistry. The chemistry is so important, especially in these amateur teams. If you have that along with the talent, boy, it could really take you places. Now, Andy, do you have any questions for the guys before we go through the state tournament breakdown?
Like you said, the non-conference game, non-competitive games, like banana ball, if you have one of those games, or you have other events, to still stay focused afterwards. But how hard was it to stay focused when the Channel 9 game was here? You had to do all the pregame stuff, you had to set up everything. didn't get to be like Plato who got to be the visitor all the time. Well, did that take away from the game? Was it hard to focus on the game to set up everything and dot all the I's, cross the T's for that game?
Jared, you go first. I have a lot of thoughts on that too.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that game was, I would say, a whole game before the game. So, I mean, we were setting up autograph sessions, different spots where kids can meet all the players, wiffle ball, all that stuff was all coming into one there. Did we lose them?
No, you're good. They're showing.
No, we're still here.
I just had a photo to show of Andy with the Ryan Handgartner bear.
Handgartner State Farm bear.
State Farm, baby.
That's right. I got the Handgartner hat on today too.
I saw that.
I'll work.
Jared, are you still speaking, or have we moved past you?
Yeah.
Here you go, Jared. Sorry.
It's all fuzzy.
Okay, it's trying to.
I'll try to hear you though.
It's probably trying to catch up here with the video stream. We got 4 videos here going at the same time. Give it a few seconds. Yeah, there we go.
They don't have good Wi-Fi out in Montrose, Minnesota.
You in Montrose there, huh? How's it look now?
Mine is all fuzzy.
I'll pop in.
Okay, that's fine.
Jared figures it out.
The recording that goes out is on my end, so it's perfectly clear on my side. So if it does look a little fuzzy, just disregard it for the time being.
I'll kind of finish, I think, where Jared was going. There were multiple. There was a game before the game, so there was prep and setup for probably, I would say, a month. A really diehard month, but I know Brad and team. Brad Johnson is an unbelievable help to us, administration-wise, behind the scenes, and then community members. Man, the Chamber of Commerce in Watertown was awesome. We had so many people involved around the area. But Jared's right. There was a game before the game with all of the wiffle ball, and we wanted to make this experience something super special for all the kids and community members, and kind of put ourselves second. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. The kids that someone says there was around 3,000 people there at one point. It was a madhouse, running around with Fox 9 with a video camera through the Little League games and the wiffle ball games, and then having to do some different spots with Fox 9 and interviews. And then realizing that was Jared's one worry, was that we're going to forget that we have a ball game to win, and it's a big ball game against a good Plato team.
Right.
And that was a big worry of his. I think we did a good job, kind of what I talked about earlier with the age and leadership. We were able to get in the dugout prior to the game and kind of get locked back in, do your pregame ritual, whatever you needed to do. And that kind of goes back. It's funny, you guys talked earlier about the talent it takes to get to that final weekend. That's something Jared and I, neither of us even talked about, because it's kind of become a given now and an expectation to be competitive in all of those games. But with navigating the relationships with people, but also having the talent to do it. You guys made a good point. I forgot to kind of allude to that. So yeah.
The Fox 9 Town Ball Tour is what they call it for the listeners. And they go, I think it's 8 times a year during the summertime on typically a Wednesday night, and go to a small town, take in the city, some of the small city businesses, establishments, and then they focus on the game, and it really becomes a small town carnival atmosphere, kind of a county fair event for an evening, and there's ice cream to be had, and pronto pups and burgers and the whole deal. And you guys did a really good job at that. Andy and I were there. We covered the game and the event, and had a lot of candidates and took a lot of photos. Besides, he's also had various past trophies on display and some of the old historical things there in the pavilion as well.
Yeah, we're glad you guys stopped up. One of you,
Yeah, it was fun, Yeah, walked up there beforehand, caught all the pregame stuff best I could. Now, for that, how long ago did you know, like a year in advance before that was coming up? Have they set out next year's schedule?
Yeah, I think they give you. Jared, when were we informed? I thought it was like late fall, early winter.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a little bit after like Christmas, we got the email, and I messaged my dad and Brad Johnson right away, because they were basically saying, hey, are you interested? Very short to the point email. Hey, are you interested? I'm sure they're expecting everyone that they email to say yes. So, with the news program like that, it's kind of, they just give you short stuff until it's like a week or two before, because everything's changing for them too. So they let us know we probably had 5-6 months with notice, but it took that long to pull everything together. And Brad Johnson had a lot to do with that. My dad, we had chamber, all that stuff. Everyone came together to put on kind of a show.
Yeah.
So I suppose this time of year,
a great show too. You did a good job.
What's that, Andy?
You did a great job. Everybody pulled together, just the stuff in town that week beforehand. Going smooth, I thought.
Yeah.
From a citizen point of view,
takes a village. It takes a village.
From a fan perspective, it was very good.
Good times.
They do a really good job with that. And like what Jared said is, I'm guessing right about now they're lining up their dates and the logistics for the 2023 season to get those going. That program has really taken off, and it really draws a lot of fans. It's really good for the baseball community.
We're telling them to run it back.
What's that?
We're telling them to run it back.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Do it again.
It is. It's a fun stuff that they do. Now, what I've got here, gentlemen, is I've got a 5-year a deal here. If you can see, hopefully you can see this. I'll bring it up here. Here's 5 straight years. If we go back to 5 years, if you can see it, 2018. And if you can't see it, I'll read it off to you. 2018 wrapped up, went 0-2 in the Region 7C tourney. And there's, it's double elimination in the region. And in the Crow River, many say it is one of the toughest or the toughest tournament in the state of Minnesota. We'll get to that here in a minute as far as one of the toughest competition to groups. Now, 2019 went 0-2 in the 7C tournament. So now you get back-to-back years where you're 0-4. And I'd like to run that by Jared. What's the feeling then? You were, I think, the second seed. There's a number 2 seed jinx, to some extent in the Crow River. But boy, how is that emotionally to go 2 straight and then your season ends just like that?
Yeah, I think every year you go into that tournament knowing your season could end at that tournament because it is so tough. Whether you're a 1 seed or an 8 seed. I forget where that region was at. I can't really see the document you guys have up.
Okay.
But
it doesn't give the location.
Oh, it don't. I mean, just as a 2 seed, you're expecting, for sure to win 1 game that first weekend. For a while there, the mindset was, hey, let's win 1 out of 2. Just let's split this weekend and let's get to the final weekend. And go with our ace. I'm pretty sure Pat is the ace at that time. Correct, Pat? I mean,
are you saying that has changed?
I'm just saying, like, it had to be, right? Like, we did. I mean, we rode Pat every game. It was almost between him and Justin Coles. It was, decision who pitches game 1 or do we save for game 2? Like, some teams have gambled with in the past. So, we were trying to win 1 game out of the 2. And I think mentality's kind of changed now where it's, hey, let's get 2 this weekend and, clinch first weekend.
Yeah. To advance to state, for the listeners out there not familiar with it, in the region tournament here, you really just need to win 2 before you lose 2 to advance. This region takes 4 and takes 4 teams to the state tournament, which is a tough. This region 7C is tough. Then you get into 2020, finish second in the region, go to state, go 1-1, and you get bounced out. How was that going to state in 2020 for that season? Jared, go ahead.
So that was the first year, right? 2020. So, yeah, I mean, ecstatic to make it. We celebrated hard. We were happy to make it, but we also knew we had to play well now that we made it. So it was, it felt like, off of our shoulders. The weight was off our shoulders. We climbed that ladder. We made it out of a very tough tournament there in 7C. So we knew we were battle tested too, going into that opening weekend of state there.
And then 2021 was the jackpot there. Even though you finished 3rd in the region, You go on to the state tournament in 2021, rip off 5 wins, and then lose in the finals. Pat, tell us your thoughts on what it was like as a member of that squad, going to those earlier games, winning those earlier games, and then getting all the way to the championship game that goes extra innings in front of a full house on a perfect, gorgeous day.
It's one of those where you'll never forget, but I really want to forget. So I want to touch base quick on the 2020 because that did, like Jared said, that felt like an immense relief. For all the years that we've been close, we've losing 1-run ball games in region games to in state qualifying settings, and then finally getting it. But yeah, 2021. The thing that I said, or the statement that I said earlier about it takes a village against that Midway team. In that first game, we needed a Jadrian Keevy, one of the bottom guys in our order, who's a phenomenal defender and sometimes can really get on a roll with the bat, hit a 1-run bomb to kind of get the ball rolling, and the momentum really never stopped. So it was kind of an unexpected run and an unexpected home run, but a little bit of a juice from the bottom of the order, and that brought us all the way through. We have the arms to get us where we need to be, but sometimes you need that experience. They say that with young teams in all different levels: college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, whatever. It really takes an experienced group. And I feel like once we were in a tough ball game in 2020 that I still think we could have won against a really good Isanti team. And then 2021, we were kind of battle tested. We've known what we need to do. Guys understand what the strategy needs to be. You need to go the other way, understand to get a bunt down, make smart defensive plays. So yeah, it was honestly kind of a blink. You blinked and we were in that state championship game against Sobieski. The game against Watkins was pretty wild. We 10-runned Milroy on that Sunday morning. There were just guys, just like you guys know, getting to watch sports and getting to watch amateur ball for so long. It's unexpected guys who step up. And all of a sudden, like, for example, on 2021, Jake Anderley, an outfielder for us, who probably was hitting around 225 all year, had an absolute massive state tournament, was an all-state or a state tourney team member, hitting the ball off the fence all over the place. And so guys like that really, really can spark things. And what a run, man. It was awesome. I still have this is cheesy, but I have Michael Jordan has that quote that says, I've taken 27 times I've attempted a game-winning shot, and I've failed in all 27, and for that I succeed. I'll never forget in that 2021 state tournament, bottom of the 9th, game-winning run on second base. Actually, I think on third base, and I strike out. And then you fast forward one more inning, and I come in to relieve, and I bounce a ball, and a guy scores. It was just like a house of cards falling, and for the years and hard work that I put in, it just felt like, for lack of a better term, that it felt like it wasn't fair. But that's the beauty of this game. And then thankfully this past year, we were able to do it again and make a run. And sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, 2021, what a memory that you'll never forget, but obviously you want to forget a few different parts of it.
And you had the great draft. You were able to get Adam Prane coming in there to pitch as well. And
Yes.
And what I remember most of that season compared to this season is your pitcher, Holt Hunsinger. Very good starter. But boy, 2022 comes along, and now you get an ace. And I don't know what the development was there and how he developed into the pitcher that he is now. But at the end of the season, Crow River Awards come out. Holt's named the pitcher of the year, and he's in some tough company in this division. How has he matured as a frontline starter, Jared?
I mean, not only is he in tough competition in the league, he's in tough competition in our dugout. We have like 4 guys that think they should be the ace, which is awesome. And they're fully capable of doing that. Pat Tschida being one of them. But Holt, I mean, he came from his first year with us. His nickname was Wild Thing for a little bit. Like, he threw hard and he was struggling. It could have been nerves. He's a new guy in town. He's huge. Like, he's trying to throw as hard as he can. people are starting to show up because we're starting to win games. So the bigger crowd, and he closed for us because, we got a lead, and then let's throw Holt and, have him try to close it down for us. And then we got a little bit better the following year. We were like, we're not utilizing him enough. That's when we were starting to win games by 5, 6 to 8 runs and not using him to close. And I didn't want to waste him in an 8-run game. And then he'd go a week or two without throwing. And, so we were like, let's start him. And it kind of, molded into a heck of a starting pitcher. And he wants the ball, which is awesome. He wants his couple days rest, and he messages me and said, what days am I getting the ball? And I'll be ready.
Well, you got a couple other great pitchers there that came from St. Cloud State Huskies with Zach Iten, Matt Butler. You've got some good, but boy, the year that he put together was unreal. And so basically looking at this slide, you finished second in 2020 in the region, third, and you go all the way to the finals, and then you finish first, win it, and then you get into the semifinals. So you're still playing Labor Day weekend. That's still the goal. But look at the record at state. You add those 3 up, you're really 10-3 in the last 3 years. That's a 10-3 win-loss record against the top teams in region state Class C, which is really what we focus on here. We've talked about it before in town ball baseball. There's some attention on Class A. There's some attention on Class B. Class C is where it's at as far as the fans, the crowd, and the number of teams out there. It's the sweet spot. Everyone loves that. So good job there. Good job. 10-3 last 3 years. That's nothing to.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. I didn't realize that.
That's we try to. We try to promote information here on the podcast. We try to get this out, breaking info. But it's a 10-3 record, and 10 wins in 3 years at the state of Minnesota in Class C is nothing to sneeze at. So let's go game by game, gentlemen, if you will. Now, Andy, feel free to chime in. I know you're wearing the Ryan Gardner hat there.
I got my Ryan Gardner hat. I've got no problem wearing your stuff. If someone wants to send stuff, you can send it. I got no problem pushing it
now.
Send it to Legends on Man, Watertown. He'll get it to me, and I'll wear it on show. That's no problem. You said this, and I'm not saying this to be a kids up, but Jared, you got to have an easy job. You got smart players on your team. I mean, guys who know the game, who aren't just great athletes, but they know the game. They know what they're supposed to do. That's got to make your
sometimes
job
they
easy.
Do. Sometimes. No. I do. I have ball players. And that all starts honestly in a couple months. We're in the cages. We're talking ball. Our guys love the game, and that's kind of what's cool about it. If someone's having an issue or someone has a question, it gets asked, and it gets tossed around between people that know what they're talking about, and it gets figured out, and the knowledge kind of flows around that way. That's what's great with our team, the camaraderie and the family style atmosphere we've created over the past couple of years.
Now I've got the
yeah, it just seems you guys are just having fun.
It is. It's fun stuff. Now on the crawl at the bottom, you can see the Red Devils went 16-2 conference in 2022. That's huge. Once again, this is what I would personally call this is my opinion, Crow River, probably the toughest conference in the state of Minnesota for Class C. 16-2 is unbelievable. So well done there. Good job. So you advance to the tournament. You go to the Region 7C. You win it. You advance to the third straight year to the state, which gives you that first round bye. Gives you a first round bye. So you got a week off to sit and watch, see what happens. Second round, you come in and beat the Cold Spring Rockies 6-4. You're going up against Austin Duffner, Alex Geislinger. Those two in that first game combined for 7 of the team's 8 hits for the Rockies. Those two alone. And so for you guys, Zach Iten goes 4 for 5. Matt Butler goes 3 for 5. Pat Tschida, 2 for 3, both doubles. Holt Hunziger gets the win. Tschida gets the save, and you guys advance to the next round, beating the Rockies. Tell us a little bit more about that, Pat.
Yeah, so we were actually at that game. They beat New York Mills. That's right. New York Mills on that first weekend, and we all went down to watch and scout. And they came out of the gates hot. Balls off the fence, balls down the line, balls on a hard rope. So I don't want to say we were intimidated, but we were understanding that we really needed to be ready. I mean, these guys, and they come from a Stearns County area where baseball is predominantly always very good. That'd be the one argument, I think, in regions where these guys really can compete. I mean, look at our state championship this year. So, we were fully aware and ready. And then we kind of we were reaching out to a few different individuals in the area who knew some of their tendencies and where we needed to pitch certain guys. And where, and then understanding what we need to do, what their lefty tendency is, get on him early. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and, we're talking 2-strike counts to some of these guys. Where do they not like the ball? How close is Geislinger stand to the plate? Things of that nature. That when you get to that level, like you were talking about earlier, smart ball, man, there's 15 guys in our dugout who we could sit for hours and hours and talk strategy of, this kid likes to play the ball there. Where should we play our third baseman in this spot? Where should our left fielder be? So yeah, we were ready. I mean, they had a heck of a showing in that first week. That was pretty impressive. It's almost one of those things where it's like, did you use too many bullets in the gun? But
it could have been.
That's a good group of ball players there.
Yeah, Duffner's always tough. The Geislinger's always tough. Any comment on that, Jared?
Yeah, I got disconnected for a second, but I feel like maybe that was a little bit of a difference from last year to maybe the first year we went. The digging into who are we going to play, the game plan, the stuff now I love doing. That's my favorite part, is who we playing, what can I find out, the spray charts, all that. That's kind of the fun part for me as a coach, because I can't play. I'm not playing anymore. So the information that I can give to prepare my guys makes me feel like I have a little part in it too. But, the first year you're just going, you get your little bit of research. But years, as you add on the years, you learn little things where you can find stuff, so that's a fun part about it. But yeah, the Rockies punched us in the mouth in that first inning. So it was all about how we responded. And I believe, Pat, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think we scored 3 right away in the first and left the bases loaded with no outs, right? I mean, we should have put up a 6 spot probably in that first inning. So they punched us in the mouth. We came back with 3, but we also went back to the dugout thinking, man, did we miss an opportunity here? Are they going to put up 3 more? We haven't seen Holt give up like that first inning runs like he did. So it was a little like, is he going to bounce back? And he did. He, that first inning, and he went after it after that.
It's one of those things you guys said earlier about the year that Holt had and who he's kind of become and morphed himself into. Even guys who play behind him, me standing in center field, seeing Holt get beat up in the first inning, we're looking at left and right saying, what the hell is going on here? What does he not have it? Is something wrong? Did he get broken up with last night? What the heck happened?
Well, the week layoff too. I mean,
right,
we had a long layoff.
So I will say that I now that I've been on a few different teams, I've been lucky to be drafted by quite a few teams when we weren't making it. And the week off is definitely takes a toll on a team, with the momentum, with seeing live at bats, just the simple fact of playing and competing. So I have seen, there's some stat out there. You guys are our numbers guy. Isn't there some stat where there's like the team that gets a bye actually only wins like 52% of the time or something? Isn't there some stat out there right now?
It could. And
it's about that, yeah.
Okay.
That could be. We'll get our intern on that. But the teams with the buys are the teams that won the region. So the only teams getting the first round buys are the champions, and so there might be something to do with that. But boy, that's you think it's nice to get that bye to get on, but you get that week off, and it may have an impact, an adverse impact. Who knows what it is?
Well,
Now, we're not saying dog it next year and get second place. So you don't get a bye. I'm not saying that. Okay. Just,
when we got third, we made it to the final. So maybe there's something
right.
to that.
Yeah.
Well, when you get that bye, you're left with a tough decision. Do you play that week that you have off? Do you risk injury? Do you risk a dead arm, or do you practice and half the guys show up?
Yeah, usually you schedule a game in there in between time, right? Usually.
Sometimes, and then other teams. We didn't this year. We basically scrimmaged and did live BP because, I felt we were mentally prepared for what we were going into. So, if guys wanted to get the work in, we did the live BP because we have a lot of arms, so we could pitch those other guys and see some live arms going too.
Yeah,
sometimes with those games, with those scheduled games, and it's no negativity to whoever you do end up scheduling, but when a game like that really doesn't matter, I just feel like your at-bats are different. Your tendency and competitive level on the mound is different. It's just different. So sometimes I almost feel like it's not even worth your time at this stage. Now that I'm getting older, I just feel like I'd rather just see live arms. We get to compete, get our work in the cage, do what we need to do. Yeah. So we had that Cold Spring game, man. They came out and punched hole right in the mouth, and we were scared.
I'm sure. Now let's go to the next round. Go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was going to say, if you practice, then do you use your drafted pitchers then to see what they really got? Would that be a reason you'd want to have an exhibition game or practice game if you had to buy to see what your drafted pitchers have? Make sure they're still loose.
Yeah, you guys saw our draft this year, right?
Yeah.
We drafted the Winston boys to help me.
3 boys from Winston that might not throw combined over 80 miles an hour.
Nice. Yeah, it also it adds to the mix of when do you bring these guys in? You get Adam Praying 2 years ago, and it's a tough job for the manager to get an already tough staff, and then you get 3 more additional guys. And what do you use? Right. How do you use them?
The Winstead guys were great. I'm very happy with the decision to take those Winstead guys. I think a lot of our team would agree. They were in every game. They were picking up stuff that I wasn't. If I had a question, going to them was awesome too, because they were going to give it to me how it was and what they saw, and they're watching from a manager position too in their dugout. So even if I didn't go with what they were saying, it was awesome to bounce an idea off of them rather than someone maybe that's in the game that could have a different opinion because it's biased. So those 3 guys were awesome. So having them in the dugout was a nice add.
All right. Here we go. Next round.
Yeah, next round. Yep.
Now you go on to Webster. You face the Webster Sox. The Webster Sox, who got a lot of press as kind of a Cinderella team, kind of the darling of the tournament, if you will. You go in and beat them 4-1. Pat, you get the win. Matt Butler gets the save. Now this time, combined for 13 strikeouts and hold Webster to only 3 hits all game long. And these guys now are pulling. Webster's starting to pull from Lakeville North, Lakeville South guys. Yeah. They got Pete Vidi from Lakeville North. Their pitcher.
He's a stud.
He's a stud at Winona State. So they're no slouches, these guys. And how was that game, Pat, when you studied up on these guys to be the starter?
Yeah. So a few different pieces to this. What you had said with all the publicity they were getting, it added a little bit of intimidation because are they the darling? Is there going to be anything that I can possibly do to stop the darling from winning? So there was a little bit of that, and then a lot of local reach outs trying to figure out who some of these kids are. Back to the tendency piece, and then it's another thing too. I have the fortunate ability to be left-handed, and so sometimes guys don't see a lefty slider or a lefty curveball as often, and then a little bit of maybe a lefty two seam that they don't get to see that frequently. So I like to kind of adjust on the fly. Coming into that game, I didn't know a ton about the kids. I knew that righty on the mound was a stud. He could throw the heck out of it. And he's kind of their most dangerous bat as well. And they got a lot of guys that are super scrappy in the lineup who are going to flick balls around, get deep in counts. So you got to take care of them and get first pitch strikes as often as you can. And I'm a big believer now being in coaching and being in the coaching side of the life and then having a dad who coached me. I really like to adjust per every at-bat. So if I come out, I remember in that first at-bat against that righty, he was a 3-hitter. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he'll be a household name here soon. The Winona State kid. I remember I got in on his hands with a couple fastballs, and I remember he did not have any idea where the slider was. And so, you take that into your mind, like, okay, maybe I can start him then with a slider. Next at-bat, I can go a changeup away. So that was a team where because they were so young, I could tell probably by about the third or fourth that there wasn't a ton of adjustments. There wasn't a ton of strategy or understanding of maybe who I was. Whereas if you reverse, and when we played Isanti, I'm blaming YA for this because I just have to. I think Isanti knew every pitch that I've thrown in the last 10 years of my life. I think they know my spin rate. I think they know where I sleep at night. But I think it was because, like I said, they did their research, and I think the YA Cardinals handed it to them. But whatever, that's the beauty of it.
The sabermetrics, yes.
Yes, right.
I digress.
Right. Yes, I digress. But it was almost, and then they actually fought back. I can't remember what the score was. It was maybe 2-1. Later into that game, he made an awesome play off the mound on a Ben Smith bunt that would have been a base hit. And then we kind of just scratched and clawed. And then Matt Butler, who's got depth on his curveball of about 72 inches, I don't think he's touchable when he's on and his arm feels good. So I actually think he came in. I don't remember when we brought him in, but I think he struck everyone out he faced. So I thought I had a good night on the mound, and then he comes in and embarrasses me. So
I think he even had one extra.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to hand the ball off to a guy like that. And we have a ton of guys like that. Jonah Lewis goes 92 miles an hour. And,
combined 13 strikeouts against a good Webster Sox team. Very young, good group. Now, Pat, 3 for 4, 2 doubles, 2 RBI, a walk, and 2 runs scored. You accounted for all the runs offensively. You accounted for all the runs. Tell me a little bit more about how you were at the plate, how you felt at the plate that day.
I guess if it was a one-word answer, it'd be comfortable. It kind of goes back a little bit to that at-bat against Sobieski in Waconia. Throughout, everyone's got to be, whether you're playing a pro sport or not, there's an off season, right? And when you're off season, you're mentally getting prepared, you're physically getting prepared, you're remembering things you need to work on. And so pretty much throughout the whole season last year, I had a memory of how brutal the ending was. I was just comfy, man. It felt really good. My balance felt really good. My pre-pitch routine was really comfortable. I was able to put the ball kind of the left or right, any gap I kind of needed to where he was throwing it. And then we'd done kind of our scouting report. We heard what he liked to go to in big counts. And that obviously helps then. And then just fighting off. I think actually both doubles were with 2 strikes. And I needed to just widen out the stance and throw my hands, and thankfully got lucky enough to put the ball where I needed to. And yeah, it was fun. Things were clicking, and it was comfy, but I'm grateful for that because I know how often and how hard it is to do, and how throughout next year it could be different for me. So yeah.
Any thoughts, Jared, on that Webster game from your perspective?
Yeah, Pat was in the zone when he pitches. Especially he's really locked in. I guess maybe ask you guys, like, I don't know if they expected Pat to pitch that game. They just saw Holt the weekend before. So, the toss-up of who we're going to pitch, and then Pat rolls out, who knows who they thought was going to roll out there.
Correct. Yeah, you're facing these week in, week out games one at a time. You're probably going to be expecting the ace each time, and maybe that's what they did do.
Right. We were kind of, when
that was a discussion up until when did we play Friday night? That was a discussion up until Thursday at 9 p.m. So
right,
and maybe that was it. Yeah, that's a Friday 7:30 game there in Faribault, and boy, maybe that's what they thought.
So for some behind the scenes info, Holt and Anson weren't even at that game. Okay. So if they were pitching, yes, they would have been. When I got that bracket, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a tough road. We were the home team for that first game against Cold Spring. We were the away team.
Right.
For every game after that. The brutal part about it, the part that kind of set it off, was we played that Sunday night against Cold Spring. We had to bounce back Friday night. So Holt, I'm usually giving 6 to 7 days rest.
Okay.
So it kind of made the decision, we're going to roll with Pat, which I'm fully confident. Pat's won a ton of big ball games for us.
Yeah.
And the little bit of surprise factor, I guess they played on Sunday too, and they threw that same kid. So behind the scenes stuff that no one really sees, the fun part about it. Yeah, I mean, it went to probably Thursday of talking and trying to figure out who we're going to throw. I text Pat, said, "Hey, you want the ball?" He immediately said, "Hell yes," and that was the game plan on that. The scouting report on them, we kind of knew a little something later in the game that was going to happen, and it did. Probably whenever we scratched across those other couple runs, we knew coming back from a Sunday he was going to wear down about a certain point. And that's kind of what happened. We just stayed patient at the plate. We kept on preaching it. So even those guys that were starting to struggle at the plate against that kid, stay patient and it's going to click. And it finally did. So that was awesome.
Now, if I remember from the selection show when they now announced the brackets, I think it was Webster. They kind of said, "Hey, this is the 2021 Red Devils right here. This is the team to watch. They might sneak through."
Right.
So when you're watching the selection show and you're hearing everybody else sing everybody else's praises, do you kind of make a little asterisk by that game going, "We'll show you who's Cinderella, baby"? Did you kind of note the games?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's just
kind of have to.
Side. Think about it right now. Like, we get to play an amateur sport, talk with you guys. Like, how cool is this? We get to prepare in an off season. We get to prepare in big at-bats. This is just like people playing men's league and all that stuff. But it gets to matter because all of a sudden the communities are behind you and there's 1,500 people at a game and you're still competing at a pretty high level with guys who are playing current college ball. I mean,
right.
Yeah. So there was the competitive side of it that, we were going to try to squash these dudes as quickly as we possibly could. There was a little chirping going on.
They played a hell of a game, though. I mean, they brought it.
It's tough. And that they come from the DRS. That DRS league, along with the Stearns County, are the next two, I think, along with the Crow. Those three toughest leagues in the state of Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So fourth round, now you face Bird Island. Play the Bullfrogs in the fourth round. You win 3-2. Hunziker gets the win. Matt Butler the save. Now you're going up. Tschida goes 2 for 5 with a run scored. You're facing draftee in the bullpen, Josh Kingery, that game. Now he's pitching for these guys. He's an Atwater chucker, gets drafted, goes on to become the all-tourney pitcher, makes it to the all-tourney team, named to the all-tourney team with the most strikeouts in the state tournament for Class C. What was it like going up against this gentleman?
Yeah, so they started that game with a big lefty, one of their own. And I guess I kind of forgot to – this is something I meant to mention against Webster is a really hard-throwing righty can really beat up on righties that don't see a lot of velocity all the time. And so what happens then is us lefties really need to try to make up for that because if it's a hard-throwing lefty, we need the righties to make up for it. Lefty-lefty and righty-righty is just a tougher combo. And so this big lefty came in and kind of had us lefties looking a little bit goofy, a little bit uncomfortable. He was able to move the ball on the outside half of the plate. And so we struggled early against these guys. When we got the pressure, God, when did Kingery come in? I'm trying to remember, but we got some pressure. I think we got a bunt or two down. We made him have to feel this position a little bit.
I think we were first and third, Pat, because just talking to you here, didn't you come over to third base? It was you and Ben Smith on the base pass.
Yeah.
And I said, what are we gonna do with Ryan Hangartner here?
Yes, that's right.
Are we gonna bunt? And Ben Smith said, I think we let the guy who's been clutch in these situations swing the bat.
Yeah.
And Ryan Hangartner delivered. I believe that was
Yep, I got a hit.
Yeah.
Ben Smith got a bunt hit. So we were on first and second. This was in the eighth. And then Kingery comes in. He's just throwing gas in the bullpen. He's throwing gas on the mound. The kid's an absolute freak show. and he's only like 5'9", and he throws gas. He's a stud. And he comes in, and that was what we were thinking. In my mind, the 2 steps ahead approach is, well, he's going to blow the ball by Ryan. Sorry, Rye. But he's going to blow the ball by Ryan, and we're going to let this kid eat us alive. Well, Ryan shows up, and we, Ben Smith trusts his gut, and we agree on it. And he hits a rope in the right center gap, and we both score, I think. And, yeah, you're right.
I think something happened there where I think it did a Butler. Someone did something. I think someone was at third. So I don't know where that happened, but
yeah,
I believe. I could be off on that.
The vibe of that game all the way through. So finally we broke through in the 8th, but the vibe of that game was just a little dead. Our in and out was dead. I think it was a Sunday morning-ish game. If I remember right, it was an 11 o'clock game.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, so it was kind of dead. I just remember being in the dugout, and we didn't have a good vibe going. Sometimes we bring a speaker to try to kind of wake the guys up, because I just know how some of these old guys get and how these young guys get. Sometimes they're a little too cool. We need to try to increase the vibe a little bit, try to wake these guys up. I remember that one just being kind of a quiet game. And then all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and it's the 7th and we're down to a team. Verdown's really good. But I ultimately thought we were a better team. And so you look up in the 8th and it's like, holy shnikes, guys, we got to get going here. And yeah, we just, like we said before, we need guys. If you're going to win big games, you got to have guys all through the lineup get big hits. So whenever we can put pressure on teams and take pitches, get walks, get hit by pitch, it's massive.
And that, I believe he threw, was it the day before or 2 days before?
He threw every game, I think.
Yeah, he threw an ungodly amount of pitches too. Like, so every time he went down to the bullpen, we were like, is this kid coming in? Like, one, it was like, oh, is he coming in? Because we need to score before that happens.
Yeah.
Well, I think that he was in that 21-inning game.
Yes, he was. He had a no-hitter through 10, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And so a lot of innings. Now, Andy, if you're familiar, Josh Kingery, his father was Mike Kingery in the pros.
Yep.
Mike
played
Kingery.
the league for a while.
Yep. And I believe he
wasn't a pitcher in the pros, but he played pro ball. So it's interesting when Josh came along, and the guy's only 20 years old now, but a shorter guy, stud pitcher, and you guys got over the hump, eked out a 1-run win. And what that did was send you to the state semifinals. Second straight appearance in the semifinals. You go up against the Buckman Billy Goats. Now this game, you throw Anson. Anson comes in to start. Anson Dulas. He was 5-0 coming in on the season. Now you got Holt is your ace. Pat, you're also up there, and you get Matt Butler in the bullpen, and you get Anson, who's 5-0. Now, he has 2 of his wins this season out of his 5 were against Delano, that was ranked number 2 at the end of the year, and Laconia, that was ranked number 8. Yep. 2 of his team's wins were against top 10 Class C ranked teams. So Buckman gets to him early. The Buckman Billy Goats get to him early. You guys go on, lose 6-4 in that game and get bounced out. But Pat, you went 3 for 5, 4 ribbies, 1 double, and 2 hits each by Ben Smith, Jadrian Keevy, Ben Thiessen, and Zach Iten, all 2 hits.
Yeah.
But how was that game, Pat? What was that going up against Buckman? You guys did well, but boy, it's.
Yeah, so if we'll start it at the, even before the game began, it was one of those strategies of who are we going to throw. Anson's been an absolute unit for us all year. Whenever we need him in big games, he's been great. He was the strikeout leader, the single season strikeout leader this year at Southwest State, so he can do it against top talent. He's been great for us all year. His changeup is phenomenal. His fastball is upper level. And so coming in, it was a thought, is this the right move? What should we do? And to this day, it was absolutely still the right move. Anson's a great pitcher. He's a great player. If anything, it just gained him experience, and now he's going to be even better for his college season and going forward. I still think about this game a little bit because, I'm kind of pathetic, but it's one of those games where as a competitor, you never want to admit this, but man, they were hot when they needed to be hot. There were pitches he was throwing where it's like, how did that kid hit that off the fence? And they have like a 46-year-old dude who hit a ball 380 feet in the air. And so looking back, it's like, I think we made the right move. We hit when we needed to hit. I think we had 15 or 16 hits that game. We just rolled into too many double plays, and we didn't score when we needed to score. Realistically, with 15 hits, we should have probably had 6, 7, 8 runs. I thought defensively we played just fine. I thought Anson, like I said, threw just fine. We called a pretty good game. We just ran into a really good hitting team, and they scored when they needed to, and ultimately we didn't. So it's a tough one for me. I want to use strategy and talk ins and outs and some of the intrinsic details, but man, they were just hot.
Now, speaking of hitting, this is a team that has Noah Bozer, Jack Suska,
yeah,
Matt Todges, all these guys, and all three were named to the all-tournament team.
Right.
And Bozer's a good hitter. Todges is an excellent pitcher as well, overall ball player.
Yes, he is. He's a great player.
These guys can play on the diamond, the Buckman team. So hats off to them on a heck of a game, but just by the fact that you guys are putting up that many hits, 2 each from 4 different guys. Pat, you had 3. There's a lot of hits there. Tough game to lose, but that brought the season to its end.
Yeah.
Now, all tournament team, Pat, you were
needed to get one in that first inning.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jared.
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, okay.
I want to say one correction to you there, Pat. You said some 46-year-old guy. Dan and I refer to it as some kid who's 46 years old. So just
easy now.
Yeah,
right?
Sorry.
As that came out of my mouth, harm, but
as that came out of my mouth, I realized I probably should have had a better vetting system before.
But yeah, they can hit the ball. Now, Pat,
comments like that as well. Ryan's my favorite player. Just letting you know.
Exactly.
Hey, I do have a comment on that.
Go ahead.
I got drafted by Young America in 2018 or 2019, whatever game we played in 17 innings in Delano. And I actually was in. So Josh Lenz threw an unbelievable first 13 innings or 14 innings, and I came in, I think, in the 14th. Got us all the way to the 17th, and in the 17th, we picked said 46-year-old kid off of first base, but we didn't throw him out when he stole second. So you know what I mean? I did my slow move, my lefty slow move to first. He broke. We threw the ball high to second, and he slid under it. He then moved up on I think a pass ball cross-up sign. Me and who was catching at that time? Hunter Rickaby. And we got signs crossed up. So he moves up to third, and there's
Hello.
Do we lose them both?
Jared's gonna be coming back, and then it looked like let's see if Pat just jumped off now. But what I was going to say was before they come back, the all-tournament team was listed and was announced, and for Class C, Pat Tschida did make the all-tournament team. He batted .588 and was the second highest batting average in the state. In the state tournament against top pitching, he still batted .588. Zach
Iten making fun of old people. That's why he got kicked out.
Yes, he's making fun of old people. Now, Zach Iten also named, and so we had 2 guys named to the all-tournament team for the Watertown Red Devils. Pat's here. Looks like he's joining us here now. But the all-tournament team was Zach Iten and Pat Tschida. Both made the all-tournament team for Watertown. Welcome back here, Pat. You're back.
You guys can you see me? I can't see you yet, but
we can hear you. That's okay.
You can hear me. Okay, good. I was still able to hear you guys. I heard that little chirp about being a kid or being an old.
Yeah.
What I was going to say,
cut off when you said the guy was at third base. So
so he actually stole home in the bottom or the top of the 17th inning with 2 outs.
Okay,
on the throw back to the pitcher. So Hunter Rickaby lobbed the ball back to me. I tried to get it back to him as quick as I can. He slides under, safe. They end up winning by 1 run in the 17th inning, and that's that same guy, that same 46-year-old kid. We're going to call him a kid.
That's old people rule.
Yeah, so he came up after that game after Buckman beat us, and he's like, Pat, I just wanted to shake your hand and remind you of how I stole home 2-3 years ago. So he was a good guy.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And so as you cut out there and Jared's on his way back here, it looks like here he comes now. It's just naming the all-tournament team. Looks like Jared's back. But hats off to Zach Iten. Congratulations to Pat. Tschida batted .588 in the state tournament, was named to the all-tournament team as well. He was the second leading hitter, going 10 for 17 with 5 doubles in the tournament. So now the question is, my first question for the state tournament is, was it an advantage to play all your games in Faribault? You just all your games, the way it ended up, were all at one site. You never got over there to Dundas. So
it's a good question. My dad and I were talking about this actually recently, and how the ball was really flying out of Dundas. Every game we watched or heard about, the ball was just flying at Dundas. Whether it's got a magnet out to the that fence, or there's a jet stream that flies behind it. So I'm a little salty that we didn't get to play at Dundas, because I felt like maybe a couple of those could have maybe hit a fence or gone over. But I did enjoy it. Kind of became home. You're right. It did kind of become home. Faribault, I have some family from there also. But we kind of had a rhythm going. We took BP over at those softball fields. We kind of gathered behind dugouts, and we kind of got, we got some familiarity with the location. So I think that certainly helped. I think it helped with our fans too. We had a lot of fans show up. They kind of knew the central site. It was an easy getaway spot. Guys between games, a bunch of the families went to bars and local restaurants. So yeah, I don't know, I guess, where I stand on if it was a positive or a negative. I would lean maybe positive, just because it became kind of so familiar to us. The batter's eye was great with the trees, and
And Bell Field, they've done a lot of work on that over the last couple of years, and it looks really sharp. It's a nice and clean field. Dundas, of course, did a lot of work on theirs too. Theirs is always a nice field to play at there at Memorial Park. Now, my question is, what's my question? Oh, recently, you've been around a while, Pat. You played a lot of amateur ball games. The umpire Larry Gallagher passed away at 82.
I saw that. That's sad. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say what a figurehead for the sport, and a figurehead for umpires. I had him many, many times. But also I'd say, I don't mean this to be impersonal, but man, we don't really have any umpires anymore. And when we lose these old heads who are good leaders and mentors in that sport, it's really unfortunate. I saw that. I noticed that on social media the other day. So that's pretty sad. I don't really know any of the family. I don't know if you guys do at all,
no.
Did you guys know him at all?
No, he worked a bunch of games when I was playing over 35 baseball,
okay.
But he's been around a while.
It is. It's sad to see an ambassador go. Same with Freddie last year, Freddie Roofs. So that was awful to see too. We don't like losing these old heads. I think there's a little bit to it that the old heads kind of keep this amateur sport so beautiful. I think I coach a lot of these kids, and I don't know if you guys have kids or are around kids. Kids nowadays, man, just don't seem to care about much. You'll get your select few that really do, and they dedicate themselves and they understand the discipline and what things need. But there's a lot of kids at some of these bigger schools. I coach basketball at Chanhassen, and if I told 10 kids, I need you guys to run an amateur sport for just, let's say, 3 weeks, they'd all look at me crazy. They'd all head back to their phones. There's just no initiative. There's nothing. There wouldn't be anything pushing them. And I think that some of us old guys got to stick around, because, man, I think if we hand it off to some of the young crowd, I worry that we might lose it, or the sanctity of it. So, and hopefully that'll change. And maybe I'm just biased and old, but
we just had Chris Guston on, the AD over at Mayor Lutheran on yesterday's show, and I've known Chris for years too. But same thing. It's just like you see the same coaches, but then one coach goes, it's hard to replace them with someone who's going to connect.
Yep, it really is. I've seen they've gone through a lot of basketball coaches over there.
On the men's side, they have, at Mayor Lutheran.
Yes.
They just got a new one starting this year now,
Yeah, he's another new guy this year, isn't he? That's right.
Yep.
And, man, they have some talent through there. They bring some athletes in through that school.
Yeah, and like we were saying, though, we're talking about how the football is going to go long this year for high school, how he's saying how that's affecting the men's basketball program. So it's another week out. We can't get players in.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Okay, I got the video back. Here we go.
There we go. We're back.
Now, next year's tournament, Litchfield, Dassel, and Delano are hosting it.
Yep.
So kind of a home field in a way with Delano, distance-wise for the fans, so that'd be kind of nice.
That would be cool. Yep.
Delano's put that nice little bench area outside the wall there, the fences.
Let's do party decks.
Are we going to get one of those, a party deck out there at 420 High Street?
We'll say this. They're actually, so with the park board, and then Brad and Jared, and then also Ryan Truckee and the Little League organization. I'm also a varsity assistant with Watertown baseball. And we have a good thing going. There's a good cohesion right now. There's actually I don't know if I'm supposed to relay this, but there's a plan in place with quite a bit of money to upgrade. The reason for the upgrade is exactly what you said. They see what's going on around the area. Waconia Delano hosting, when Waconia hosted it last year, what do you think? How many individuals and families came through that community on 3 straight weekends? Like hitting the Subway, hitting the Dairy Queen, going to the local bars, the restaurants.
And dealing with that construction around the high school then too.
Right.
Okay.
And so they saw that, and they're seeing, the 3,000 people show up to the town ball tour up at Highland. And I think they understand what you really can do if you just have some community involvement. And if it's baseball, let it be baseball. And so there's some things going on right now that there'll be a party deck, hopefully down the right field line. And then a batter's eye and upgraded bathrooms. And yeah, there's things going on. So
now in 24, Watertown's hosting the 7C tournament, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So hopefully have that stuff done by then. And then also we're looking to maybe host a couple Legion tournaments and get in. Delano came to us, I think this past year, and they're trying to put in again for another state tourney bid. So it'd probably be, what are they out to right now? Do you guys remember?
I was just looking at here. It said, where's my screen for that?
27? Does that seem right?
I think it's up to 27, maybe.
They're all through 28.
Okay, so Delano came to us this past summer, I believe Brad said, and really would like to see us try to jump in with them.
Co-host.
I don't know if I was supposed to relay that to a podcast. I guess I don't really have the tightest lips, huh? So
that's okay.
We'll have to have you on more often. Then.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan has it in 24 and 26. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great ballpark. They did all that work.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of work out there at the Met. So.
Yeah, I mean, Delano's the creme de la creme. I love playing over there. People love going to games there. It's local to the cities. Same with Waconia. Same with Jordan. That was the one thing about Faribault that kind of was tough. It was down there a ways.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem. I don't know. It's harder to get fans there. It's harder. It's not as centrally located. Some people like to pop out to Delano because then they can be back in the cities in 25 minutes. But It was great. I'm glad Faribault got it. They probably had a good bounce in their community. We went to a bar one night, I know. So, it was fun.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Jared's back. Jared, we're just talking about the future years of the state tournament. Who's all being hosted this next year? Delano, Litchfield, Dazzle, I should say, is going to be hosting it this next year. How about the Region 7C? Where's that this coming year?
Where is that? Hamburg?
I think it's Brown.
Hamburg? Brown?
I thought it was Brown because we were voicing our opinion that we need a helicopter to get to Brown because it's so dang far.
Yeah.
I think it's Brown this year, if I remember right.
And now Plato now has the lights for the night games. Hamburg's always a good location. Green Isle is always good stuff. So it's fun for us as fans following the Crow River because the stadiums and the locations themselves are all jackpot. Winston did a good job.
That whole 212 area, the whole 212 strip right there is just
I agree.
Great baseball line.
I agree.
It's a fun place to watch good locales, each one of these locations. Do you guys have any questions for us before we wrap up?
So how frequent do you guys do baseball stuff, and how frequent do you guys dabble into what's kind of your niche? Are you guys? Obviously I've followed you guys on social media for a while now. I've been to a few different places, but what is kind of your niche?
We do a lot of baseball stuff mostly.
Okay.
We're not very big in the NFL or NBA, so don't hold your breath waiting for any of that stuff.
Okay.
College sports, like the local colleges, BBG State Beavers, North Dakota Bison, we kind of make those our hometown teams, cover those guys, all their sports. I'm admit it, I'm a redneck, so NASCAR and pro wrestling, I cover that too. On other shows, so I'll do special episodes midweek on that.
I do cover some spring football, guys. XFL, USFL. Yep. Not many people cover that, so we try to get that in the mix. But for us, it's a lot of town ball. A lot of town ball baseball in the summertime fills up our schedules. Major League Baseball in the off season. We're gonna have a show coming up on the Rule 5 draft, for God's sakes.
Wow.
Stuff that no one covers. So we
dig down guys deep. Then.
Right.
Yeah.
We dig down deep.
Okay, I like it. We'll have to get you some gear. So if you guys are willing to rep some stuff, we'll get you some gear. And then if you guys are obviously local, stop by anytime. We'll let you guys go.
Send it down to Legends on Main. Attention to Sports and Songs. Jared will call us. We'll pick it up. We'll wear it on the show. We ain't proud.
And then what we've got next in the month of December, gentlemen, and you're invited. As far as I know from Jared, you guys are already in. But we're doing a baseball roundtable discussion, hot stove. And we're going to talk town ball baseball next month for the 2023 season to incorporate some of the new information. Class A combining with Class B for the state. Mount Westonka joining the Crow River. Norwood becoming an official team now as well. Some of that kind of Crow River stuff, hot stove baseball. We invite you both for that discussion next month.
Fun. That would be a blast.
Awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
All right, guys. If you guys aren't doing anything on Saturday, we got 2 Red Devils playing in the state football tournament, and Wyatt McCabe and Albert Rundell.
Oh, really?
For Watertown. So
we're going to be there
Saturday. We're covering that
game
game at 4:30 p.m. this Saturday at US Bank. We'll be covering for our show.
All right.
Cool.
We'll see you there.
I'm going to mention old people right now. Real old people plug real quick.
There.
You talk about Rundell quarterback. We're looking through the paper. My wife's reading it. She goes, I had him as a preschooler when I was teaching preschool. Yeah. So all of her old preschoolers are on the high school team now. So she's going to go there and go, I remember that. So if you want little stories about him when he was like 4 and 5, well, let me know. Embarrassing stories when he was in preschool. We'll hook you up.
I had his dad as my head football coach in high school, and so we've got pretty close with their family. They're really good people.
They're awesome. Good folks, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So does your wife teach in the school district?
All right. I'm sorry?
Does your wife teach in the school district?
Yeah, she did until this year. She was a preschool teacher at in Watertown here at Kids Company. Okay. And she also taught at the one church here in town too, at Trinity for a few years.
Yeah.
So
she's
teaching back out in South Carolina.
So Jared, what grades Duke in?
He's in kindergarten now, but he was at the primary last year. So
Yep, Lisa was up there, yeah.
So we probably got some stories on him too.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, she's got
I'm sure.
Any preschool teacher around here, they could write a book that would embarrass you people so bad.
I believe it.
Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Yeah. Don't push me, boys. I get the stories.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we'll hold that gear back too then.
Wait now. There's no stories. Only good stories.
Oh, Jared,
all right, gentlemen, we thank you. We thank you for your time.
I loose-lipped some of the projects at Highland, so I probably shouldn't have done that.
Oh, ouch.
While I was cut?
Yeah.
We'll thank Jared Duske here, Pat Tschida, and for their time for Watertown Red Devils. We'll be following them for Class C in 2023 again, and we'll be doing a pre-season preview for the Crow River sometime in May of next year. So we look for you then. But thanks again, guys, for joining us.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.